Today's video topic is something that no one is immune to. I fight with this sometimes on a daily basis, but all of us at some point will have problems with inconsistent float and inconsistent aiming on target. Sometimes from one day to the next, one shot to the next, we'll have really good aim, and then we'll have mediocre and awful aim. And today's video, we're gonna cover the two most common reasons that I see that this is happening with different people, and it revolves around our bow shoulder, getting it set correctly every time, and also getting the pressure between our hands correct every time as well. If you haven't seen it, last week we did a podcast, myself and Jeremy Balderrama. We sat down, we talked a little bit about archery, some different topics. We have similar and then also opposing viewpoints. So it's really cool to sit down and talk with him. You get to hear a totally different side of thought process and how he is handling things. He is a very accomplished archer. He was a professional archer up until recent when he had to make a switch for another child that they're going to be welcoming in, and life is changing a little bit for him. So if you would like to see that, check it out. It was last week that we aired that one. We'll have another one come out next week. For right now, we're going to do these every other week, see how they go. My plan is to adjust and change these a little bit from the first one. I want them to be shorter so it's easier to watch here in video format, and we're filming them in advance now, so ahead of time, so I can edit them a lot better. I'm going to put some video overlays, that way it can illustrate things we're talking about. So it is going to be a podcast style theme there, but you're going to get video overlays, so it makes better sense to watch it through YouTube and be able to visually see what we're doing. So if you would like to check those out, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel here and have the bell notification on so that you get these alerts when we release the videos. Right now, my release plan is every Tuesdays at noon Central Time. So that'll give you an idea when these videos come out. But I thank you for watching. Thank you for all your support. Let's get into today's video. All right, the main thing that most of us have problems with when it comes to inconsistent aiming from one shot to the next or day to day is in our shoulder. This bow shoulder is the most important aspect of having steady aim on target and being able to seat it correctly inside the joint and do that consistently from one shot to the next is huge in having a consistent aiming pattern. So one thing that I want to make very clear is my drawing motion, what I am doing by raising the arm up and how I'm setting the joint with the motion, with some of the pre-work that goes into it, and getting myself into anchor that makes me steadier and more consistent. That's going to be the name of the game here, is just finding what works for you to be the most consistent from one shot to the next. To have a little illustration here, I thought it would be fun. I'm going to hold this arrow out where you can see with my arm how this looks. So when I've got this knock here at the inside part of my shoulder, so this is the muscle here on the inside part where I can feel it, I'm going to change my shoulder position. I'll let you see what this looks like. So this is natural for me. This is where I would shoot my bow at. This is the position that everything would be at here for me. But if I pull this shoulder in and hump my shoulder up, and mind you, this is not severe. This is way less than what a lot of other people will have. You can see the distance that my hand travels up the arrow shaft versus down and in place like normal. So you can see it moves. I mean, it's a good bit. It's at least a half an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch, maybe even close to an inch if it's more extreme here. I mean, that's changing draw length by a lot. I mean, half an inch, 1 inch. This is the reason why you are shooting and trying to figure out what draw length you are. And from one day to the next, you may be a 28 and you may be a 29, you may be something completely different. So keep that in mind when you're doing this. The other thing that I want to talk through is when I am drawing the bow back, I am setting a tension in the bow hand by a little bit of separation between my release hand and my bow hand as I bring the bow off my leg and start to swing and raise the bow up. By doing that, it's pushing maybe 2-3 pounds of separation between the hands by kind of pushing away and off with the bow hand. I am not reaching out to the target and outstretching my arm and disconnecting the shoulder joint. I'm simply loading the muscle just a little bit so that as I'm doing that and raising the bow up, it's engaged. I can feel how my joint actually is in place or not, and get a more consistent feel throughout my draw motion and getting to anchor. But you can see that if I were to do this same drill here and hold this in that position that I did before, if I stick my hand down here and then I reach and I stick and really reach out for the target, I can separate my shoulder joint and my fingers now are at the end of this arrow, versus if I just raise the bow up like normal, my hand is here and my finger is about 1 inch away from the end of the arrow. So maybe 1.5 inches. Again, a huge difference in why you may be feeling one day that you're a certain draw length, one day you're not, and why you have consistent aim at certain times and not consistent aim at other times. All right, the next most common issue that I see between people struggling with their aim is not having consistent back wall pressure when they anchor through their shot execution. So here's what I mean by this. If we are getting into anchor and then relaxing muscles in our body, but we're over relaxing things, or we are inconsistently relaxing muscles or tensing them, it's going to cause us an issue and some problems with our aim. So if you've ever been holding really well on target, and then all of a sudden your next shot you're holding low and you can't lift the bow up and you're having some issues with it, it could possibly be just tension against the back wall. Whenever we draw back and we get into anchor, we want to make sure that after the bow's draw length is set up correctly for us, that our loop length is correct for us as well. And without getting too far into this, like I would when I coach people, the gist behind this is create the leverage you need to be able to hold yourself steady on target, not overpower the bow, and not have too much range of motion left for you to move too much during shot execution. So general rule of thumb for most people, get your elbow, your release arm's elbow behind your head. So it's kind of in line somewhere with your head. You don't want it inside the bow where it's swinging out to the right, and you don't want it overextended to where the elbow is then wrapping around your head. You want everything to be kind of in a straight line if you look from the target through your elbow, through that rear elbow, within reason. So when we are getting into anchor, if that is correct and you're still having problems, it could also be just how you have the release set up or how you are getting into the release. Meaning, when we are getting to full draw, a lot of people will struggle with their hinge speed being set too fast or their click speed being set too short. So there's not a very large window from when it clicks to fires, and you start getting timid on there. So as you get into anchor, you hit that click, you're leaking pressure and you're losing back wall pressure because you're afraid of the release firing early. The same can be happening with a thumb release or with an index finger release, because as you're getting your thumb to put it on the trigger, or as you're getting your finger to put it on the trigger, you're worried about that release firing because the trigger pressure is not set up heavy enough to allow you to preload some tension in there without fear of anything happen. So we will get those thumb or the finger, we'll get those index, fingers, especially on triggers. We'll put them on that trigger, and as we do it, we actually can see our rear elbow collapse and come back around inside the bow, and we will lose some pressure. And actually you can really see that if you put a camera up next to the arrow on the riser itself, you can watch that arrow kind of creep forward a little bit because we are coming forward off the back wall. So make sure that as you're setting up your releases and as you're using them and adjusting them, do so in a way that you don't feel timid and you don't feel afraid of them firing, and you can have a strong and confident shot to keep steady and consistent back wall pressure all the way from anchor through your shot execution when the release is letting go and your arrow is firing. Guys, in this week's members video, we're gonna take this one step further and talk a little bit more about consistent aim in regards to loop height and matching it with what you like to do with grip pressure. If you're an archer that likes to put the heel of your grip into the bow and really push that bow and push it up into the target and up on the target, or if you are the type that likes a high risk grip where you're pushing the webbing into the top of the grip platform and pushing the bow in or down on the target, you will need different loop heights to match with that, help you feel more comfortable with those pressures, make it more consistent from one shot to the next, and also help you with your aiming patterns and your aiming characteristics. So that'll be our members video this week. We're gonna go over that. If you're not a member of this channel and would like to see this video or the others that are on there, down in the description, there is a link to take you to the different packages that I offer for that, different benefits that you get from them, and you can pick and choose and see what you would like. But you can always get the extra videos no matter what. There's also an additional one where you can have coaching access to me as well. And that way you can get some extra help, and maybe like in this video today, you need some guidance on what we're doing with draw link, loop link, or something else. It's really easy to contact me that way and get some help pretty quickly. So thank you for watching these videos. I appreciate your support. Again, make sure that you have subscribed to the channel if you haven't already, and use the bell notifications so that you're getting alerted when these videos come out. YouTube is not always pushing these videos out because they are involving an object that they deem not necessary for YouTube. So keep that in mind. I'm trying to make sure that these are getting out to as many people as possible, but they're consistently coming out each week for the most part, and that way you can view them every Tuesdays at 12 Central. But thank you again for watching, guys. I'll see you soon.